Welcome to VDEOMKR, the podcast that cuts past the highlight reel and takes you straight into the raw behind-the-scenes stories of creatives and makers. I'm Carly, founder of The Good Vibe Media, a woman-owned and operated video production agency and a creative studio space. Every week on VDEOMKR, I sit down with filmmakers, creators, and creative entrepreneurs for a deep, honest conversation you don't typically hear. The late nights, the pivots, the breakdowns that shape the breakthroughs. These are the conversations and stories that make people like me and so many other creatives need to hear. This is a space for growth, for lessons, for community, a place where we learn from each other's real, unfiltered journeys. This is VDEOMKR. Let's get rolling. Welcome back to another episode of VDEOMKR. I'm your host, Carly, and today we have Ellyse as our guest. She's the creative director and owner of ENC Agency, a full-service creative agency in Phoenix, specializing in branding, web design, and digital marketing for bold, ambitious brands across the U.S. In fact, Ellyse and her team are the creative masters behind the development of our branding for this podcast, as well as the Good Vibe Media and the Good Vibe Studios. She has an extensive and diverse background in the creative industry, spanning from fashion to editorial work to marketing, branding, and more. She also is one of the most incredible leaders I know and has created a valuable and unique company culture. I'm so excited to dive into this conversation with her today. Welcome, Ellyse.
Yay. I know, all the goosies of all the brand babies that we've been able to touch together.
So special.
When was I was trying to think when I was driving over, what year was it that we first began this?
I think it was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Was it? Or maybe it was right in the middle of it.
Probably.
That blended time warp of a...
2020 was like, I feel like, it was insanity shit show, sorry. But then also like so much like connection happened then too. So
you know what? It was 2020 because I remember being in a state of like so much change happening within business. And it was the first time that like, I think bootstrapping a business, you kind of do everything on your own. And I think having you and your team develop a whole new brand for what I visualized as the feeling of what our business was, but couldn't like actually have it come to life. Mm-hmm. It was so epic to have your influence in creating all of that because you truly like, you leveled up our branding. You leveled up our business in such a beautiful way. So yeah.
Just like to scoop in those brains and put it out in the world. So
it's pretty awesome. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to dive into all the juicy stuff very, very soon. But first things first, I want to start with some rapid fire.
Okay.
Does that feel good?
I'm ready.
Okay. So first question is, what was the first thing you ever made that you were super proud of?
So it was a brand, and I was 5 years old, called Sisters Store. The sisters were actually my mother and I was the CEO. I wore all the hats, and she did a lot of grunt work. It would essentially go that she would call as a customer. I would answer the phone and essentially share what we had, what was available, the cost, all the things. I would negotiate with them. So yeah, it started at quite a young age.
I love
hat of mine.
And also your childhood sounds like it was very fun.
It was very imaginative for sure. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. Tell me about your daily fuel. Is it coffee, tea, or something stronger?
Definitely coffee. My son is almost 15 months now, and just like mom juice is a real thing. So I love me just like a really good, delicious coffee in the morning. I've been kind of souping it up with some extra potions and whatnot. And then in the afternoon, I really love like an iced matcha or an iced green tea. But some days call for some extra coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know.
Do you like doctor them up at your home, or do you have a favorite place that you go to?
Both.
Yeah.
At home, I've been kind of dabbling back into like some adaptogens and some different oils and things that I want to put in there to just trying to like level out the caffeine roller coaster ride. But I do love, there's so many great local places. I live and work over in Phoenix. So I love Satellite, Coffee Bars, Chef's Kiss, and Lux and Fame. We've got a trifecta of goodness over there.
So good. So good. Awesome. Okay. Your creative environment. Where do you feel the most creative? Is it your desk, plane, shower, maybe somewhere else?
I joke with the team because I swear I have my best ideas come to me either when I'm like peeing in the bathroom and I like come out and I'm like, guys, I have an idea, or it's right before I'm about to fall asleep and I'm like my most zen, and then I just like have all these ideas and I'm like, I'm supposed to be sleeping. So yeah.
Do you like voice note? How do you capture those ideas somehow?
I have a notepad next to my bed, and but of course it's like pitch dark and it's like, late. And so I wake up in the morning, I'm like, what am I reading? This feels like a brilliant mind, Stephen Hawking's thing that I need to somehow figure out how to translate.
That's amazing. I love it. Yeah. It's part of the fun. Okay. Tell me, who is someone you would drop everything to collaborate with and why? Dream collaboration.
Ooh, okay. That is so hard. Maybe Kelly Wursler. I always say her last name wrong, but I've always just thought she is an absolute vision and creative, and I think just has a very, very unique approach to curating design for homes. And we've been able to support so many incredible interior designers over the last 2 years, but she's definitely always someone that I'm like, if I need inspiration for anything, I'm looking at what she's up to.
I love that. Okay. Love it. Love it. Okay. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
If you asked Sam, he tells me this all the time that I'm not a morning person, but I'm like, I am, but we get up so early with Theo. I honestly think my perfect time of day is like between 10 and 1 because I'm like awake. I've had my mom juice. I'm like doing the things, and I haven't had an afternoon crash yet. So that's my like prime time if you want me to get the most like brilliant juice. So it's good we're filming right now.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, good. We picked the best time to be doing this podcast episode. Okay, 2 more questions. If your entrepreneurial journey had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. The first thing that came to mind, which is so cheeseball, is the Rocky theme song. I don't know why, because that's not even like a movie of mine. So maybe could it be a remix mashup of the Rocky theme song and Al Green, Love and Happiness?
Oh my gosh. We're going to somehow try and figure out how to merge those together. Maybe like dub it in a portion of this episode.
Please.
We'll work on that. Okay. We'll report back. Okay, last one. What is one thing about your creative process that people would be really surprised to know?
I think so much of really what my secret sauce has continued to like evolve over the years is my very keen sense of, when having a conversation, listening really deeply, and rather than moving into my next kind of prompted question, I'm following up based on what I'm hearing. And I think in that process, it's allowed me to just get to know my people on a much more just below surface level, because I think it's so... It's easy to, ask, what's your favorite color? And let's talk about your mission and all the things, but to get to a point where someone can feel seen with you being able to extract things that they didn't even know how to articulate is kind of a superpower that I think I've been able to conjure up over the last many years of doing this thing.
100%. I couldn't say any better, because that's exactly how we felt the first time we worked together when you were developing our agency's branding and logo and creative and all of that. It's so incredible too to see how you have like fostered this environment with your team, where when you step into your office, like, we're not just seen by one person on your team, we're seen by the whole team. And it's just this like beautiful experience of depth that I think is so incredible. And it's so rare and unique to feel that from an agency. So I definitely we're going to dive into a lot of that later on in the conversation, but I do want to rewind the tapes a little bit and get to know younger Ellyse and kind of the foundation of where your creativity sparked, where you like really knew, oh gosh, this is the avenue that I'm wanting to dedicate my career toward. Tell me a little bit about, your upbringing and where that first creative spark came about.
I feel like I should have uploaded my my headshot actually as my like 6-year-old headshot, my glamour shot. Maybe we'll weave that in there somewhere. I mean, I think from seeing like home videos and things, it's clear to me now, especially looking back at it, that from a very young age, I just was trying to find any way to express myself. I'm an only child. It took my parents 10 years to get pregnant with me. I remember every Christmas I was like, okay, am I getting a brother or sister? And so I think, being an only child, I had this like urge to create all of these different, I don't know, I'm sounding like bipolar or something, all these different just like characters and people and like environments and things to explore of like the human nature. I've always just been very, very fascinated by other people. And, ever since I was super young, I would dress myself as much as my mom would try to like get me to wear some like semi-normal thing to just like go to the grocery store. I needed to be in like a full gown and the heels and the tutu and all the things and like rings. And so I think I was definitely just like destined to express myself even when I didn't exactly know what that would turn into. And really, I feel like over the last, 20 years of like being in this like work environment, 20 plus years, how old am I? Mm-hmm. I have said yes to every single possible thing that came my way, even when maybe in the moment I should have said no, or I didn't know how to do it. And I think being in this like era of just, again, expressing myself, saying yes, figuring it out, failing a million times over and like, gaining all of this incredible wisdom and opportunity, both like working from other people, schlepping and getting coffee orders. Like, I feel like I've played many different roles, and in doing so, it's really allowed me to have this very like 360 view of what I think being just a great, empathetic, creative, just like human is. And because of that, it's landed me here. I never sought out to be like, I'm going to run an agency. Never. Like that was not like some like goal or like thing I was working towards. Just all the yeses kind of landed me to a place of like, okay, I have to do something different because there's such a need.
Totally. Oh my gosh, I feel that and I relate to it so deeply. And I'm so glad you brought up those failures and those moments too. I would love if you're willing to share some of those.
How much time?
Because it truly is like those failures are the fast track to growth. Yeah. And if you have that mentality of like understanding that you got to lean into the failures, because that's actually where you're able to grow the most. And we want growth. We want change. We want evolution, because especially in this world of creativity and what we're doing and serving our clients with, we can't stay stagnant. We always got to push and challenge and lean into the failures and the painful and the sticky moments and say, okay, what are we learning from this? What are we taking away from this to move on and to grow, further? So if you're willing to share maybe a story or two of like some pretty monumental moments of failure or opportunities for growth that has really had a dramatic impact on how you show up in your agency, for your clients, for your work today.
Oh, exhale. Yeah. I think about it in twofold, like externally and then internally. I am someone that cares to the 1,000,000th degree, and it would be much easier if I just maybe had a little more chill in that department. But unfortunately, it's just how I'm wired. It's who I am. So, I think one thing that has helped ENC get to a place where it is now that just feels so incredible internally is realizing that I have to make the best decisions for the company, even if that means shifting things internally, because company culture, the vibes of human beings, when you're living, breathing, often spending way more time with your work family than you are with your, other family. If that is ever crunchy, thick, funkaroo, like it's going to show in all the work and all the client experience. So I had kind of a crunchy moment, like a year and a half ago, where I think was trying so hard to make certain things work that just weren't working. And that's because I love my people. And I believe that like, if I give everything and if I can just like hold on and like death grip and keep you and like all the things, but I think that was honestly one of my biggest mistakes, because I think we so often hold on to things and force things rather than just even letting people go, and potentially even just feeling so much more at peace in their own ability to fly in a different direction. So it was a big learning season for me. And because of that, I think I have a very different perspective on what ENC is internally, and the amount of people that just constantly reach out wanting to work at ENC, even friends that are like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I would do, but I want to come work at ENC. And I think that is a testament to really being super, super like crazy intentional about what it is we believe as a small unit that, cares about each other, and we put out a lot of work and beautiful work with a very high standard, but also at the end of the day, deeply care about each other. So that was crunchy, but like got me to be like, okay, now I got it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I feel like too, because everything, I'm like nodding my head so hard right now, because I'm like, yes, I feel you, because I feel like we've experienced a lot of the same, where there are some people that will come onto the team and maybe you have an expectation when they come on that they're like in for the long haul or the long run. And then you realize over the course of time, you're like, actually, this person has served such a big purpose, but in a way that I would have never predicted when they first came on. And it's more of like a short-term thing, but it's like, no matter what, every person that you bring onto your team serves a purpose in every way, shape, or form. But I'm curious, like when you do hire and you do, because I feel like hiring has been the hardest part in my job too, but creating the culture that you have within your company is so special and so unique. And what are some like qualities that you look for, even in the hiring process, that are kind of unique to ENC when you're bringing on new people to the team?
Yeah. I mean, I like to think very deeply about if someone has a lot of skill or a lot of will, because I think skill can always be something that is fine-tuned, but will, you got it or you don't, So to me, I think that's where my like gut comes into like, okay, let's go. Like, do you have this will and awareness of what it is like being a part of, this nuclear team of 6 women who are, having an abundance of opportunities, but we have just a very different approach than, your typical agency setting. It's also not like, everyone's in closed cubicles. I mean, we're an open dynamic. There's blurred lines of, HR, not HR, but, it's like we are, when we all sync up on our periods and like, Lord help us. But yeah, I think for me, it's really, number one, are you a self-aware human being? And I can tell fairly quickly if you are. 2, do you have some emotional intelligence? Because yes, we're creatives, we're designing, we're behind a screen, but none of that will work unless you know how to actually talk to human beings and listen to them and like extract the things that we need to do to actually deliver something that makes someone feel dazzled and surprised. And yeah, that you just see that there's something more than just yourself. ENC, yes, it started with 1, but to me, I think the coolest thing that has happened over the last 7 years is that people come to ENC and don't even know what it stands for. And that means that like it's become so much more than Ellyse. It is this ecosystem, this like collection of incredible minds. And I love the fact that it is not my show. I don't want it to be my show. I want everyone to feel like ENC is their brand as much as it is mine.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that a little bit. Talk about the foundation of ENC and maybe how it's evolved a little bit over the last,
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, at first, so I was living in New York at the time. I was in LA and New York for about 8 years, had many different jobs. And one day I was in Central Park. I had been working for Free People, had spearheaded to do this like personal shopping program for them. And I was sitting in Central Park and I was just having this very weird aha moment where I was like, I feel like I can't push the things that I really want to push. And I had been dabbling on the side, wearing all these different hats, doing the things. And I remember calling my parents and I was like, okay, guys, I've got a plot twist here. I think I'm going to go out on my own. I'm not asking for anything, but just know this could be interesting. And I will forever remember what my dad's like first reaction was. And he said, Ellyse, I knew that the moment you decided that you were going to be the brand, it was going to turn into something incredible. And it's like, shout out dad, like it's, as we're parents, we see things before, of course, even our kids have the, little pea brains to even, think this could be a possibility. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna go out my own. I'm gonna be in my yes era. I'm gonna like explain to the entire, world, whoever will listen to me, why you need a creative director, why you need a stylist, how interior design can, emphasize, different areas of your work and, every single possible thing. And, those experiences landed me back in Arizona. And in that season of my life, I was never more lost. I was a sad, sad girl. I felt like I was just constantly banging on doors to like get people to understand why you need something different in order to create something different. And, the climate in Arizona and Phoenix, Scottsdale 10 years ago was not what it is today. There was not this like fusion and excitement of creativity. And, it took me a while to realize that, okay, what I really wanted to birth into the world was this kind of new take on creativity. And even at the time, I started out as just Ellyse Nicole Creative, and that's, where ENC began. And it was just me, myself, and I, and slowly, added one person to my team. And then it's just kind of blossomed. It's subtracted and added over the last 7 years. And it has been a wild freaking roller coaster.
Yes.
Like insane.
What were some of the like first clients that you had? How did you kind of try to attract or seek out the clients that you're like, yes, this is who I'm wanting to create for?
Yeah. And I think that's even something that's still evolving today. Duh.
Yes.
Like that's good.
Totally.
When it was first me, I was predominantly going after, I was still in my era of like really honing in on wardrobe styling. When I first moved back, I got signed with Ford to be a stylist for them. So I got the opportunity to do some very cool campaigns with like GoDaddy and Danica Patrick and all the things. And it was just very corporate and very like, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, but I don't want to do it that way.
Yes.
And things kind of started shifting, and I was like, okay, looking around, who in Arizona is trying to do something different? And one of my first clients, like bigger clients at the time, was Melt by Melissa. Mel and I also met during COVID 2020 era, and we just kind of had this love for really, really big macro thinking and like reframing how it is we show up in business. And she was one of the first companies that really took a chance on me and the agency that I was bringing to the table. And I remember at the time before, we had all of these incredible platforms, I put together this like very funny deck on like all the things I was going to do for her and how it was going to scale over time. And now, we're 6 years in together, still supporting Melt by Melissa. We've got, it's 2 locations, a skincare line. I mean, it's been incredible to, stick with some of my OGs and like still be able to support them in their evolution.
Yeah, part of such a growth, because you are such an amazing extension to all of these companies in such a way. And you, as your agency is growing, so are your clients in such a beautiful way. So that's awesome. Yeah. We feel that too. I mean, when we had this idea of the podcast, has been brewing for some time. The name's been, we've been swirling things around for some time. Yep. But when like it's go time, it's go time. Yeah, we're ready to pull the trigger. Yeah. So, and I'm like the first, literally, I'm looking at Nikki now as we're talking about this, because when you said the first like round of creative, instantly like both Nikki and I had our jaws dropped. We're like, this is it. We couldn't have even like pictured or imagined, but we knew like that was it. You guys just nailed it. So,
I mean, I will just share a tiny little nugget. I feel like anytime we are doing our first showcase to a client on something visual, of course, the messaging and storytelling side to me will forever be the most important component to any brand experience. But in thinking about the visuals, it is such it's the one part in my life where I actually get a little bit of butterflies, because it's unnerving to be like, okay, client, you've told us everything sort of that you think you want, and we're going behind the curtain with all of these beautiful collective brains and extracting and trying to come up with something that is so unique and different, and then being like, do you like it? Mm-hmm. It's this one piece of the master pie and all the things that we touch that just forever gives me the like, what's going to happen? Because it can go so many different ways.
Yeah. Has there ever been and I'm sure there has, but talk me through maybe a story or a situation where you have developed something for a client. And I'm even thinking from my perspective of like producing video, and you have this idea creatively where you're like, oh my gosh, this is the vision for this production, but it doesn't quite land with a client the same way. And you're inside, you're like melting because you're like, oh, but this is it. Why do we want it? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So maybe talk, because a lot of the audience that tunes into this show is aspiring creatives, or they're already like deep in the industry. And I just know sharing stories like this is very helpful, and how to navigate when you are getting paid by a client to make the creative and it maybe isn't going as aligned as you think.
Yeah, I've lots of stories for this one, but I will say, I think at the beginning of my career, my skin was not as snake-like as it is now. And being able to get to a point where I don't ever want myself or anyone on my team to feel like a mouse mover, because that's not what we're hired to do. Yep. But at the same time, having this, nice mindset, this like ebb and flow, that we are providing a service, that someone is coming to us because this is their baby, they're holding on to it, we are like their brand doula, and we're gonna we're gonna birth this baby if it's the last thing that we do. But throughout the process, people often change their mind. They realize so much about themselves when you're launching a brand, and when you have these outside perspectives coming in and like showing a mirror of like, hey, this is what you're saying. Is this aligning? And then oftentimes we're like, people are blown away. It's like, yes, this is it. And then other times I find where things can get a little bit sticky is if we're actually not paying the utmost attention to our gut. And when we're comparing everything to what everyone else is doing, and where we have 5 million Pinterest inspirations, and, we are so dead focused on like this inspiration rather than thinking about how we can extract it and turn it into something that feels yours and feels timeless and doesn't feel like something you're seeing copy and pasted 5 million times over again. And I would say more often than not, we are in the camp of, delivering something that like brings people to tears. And that is an incredible gift. And, there's also been plenty of times when we've, collectively tried to push something so hard, but it gets to the point where, we don't want to force it on our end and we don't want to force it for the client. And it can be a little bit of a heart blow because you're like, I know this is it. Just trust us. But, at the end of the day, we are providing a service.
Totally.
It's our responsibility to give a client something that they feel so connected to and push as much as we can humanly push.
Yeah, totally. So you've done work for a variety of different brands, and I know more recently you all have been leading into a lot more food and beverage. I would love to hear a little bit more about that, and also maybe talk to us a little bit about your process, because the process of working with your team, I feel like, is so unique. I don't have a ton of experience of working with a ton of other agencies, but I felt so I don't know. I just felt like it was such a unique and customized experience of working with you guys. But I would love to hear about the process kind of behind the scenes. Walk us through that journey of what it's like to work with you.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you some process vibes, and then I'll talk to you about
The food and beverage stuff. Yes.
So I think one of the main reasons why ENC has, number one, lasted 7 years and has been successful, and why I wanted to do this crazy thing called run an agency and be responsible for people all the years ago, was because I had the opportunity, at the early stages of my career to work with a lot of agencies. And I'm never going to badmouth anyone. I think everyone's got their own process, their own flavor. But for me, I saw this huge gap in how expensive traditional creative and marketing is, and how often people would then come to me and say, I hate everything. And I think what the gap there was, you have one conversation and then the team goes behind a curtain and then just delivers it to you and say, hope you like it, and for us, we are very much of the mindset that when we take on a brand, it becomes our brand. We want to live and breathe and look under the hood, and I want to like touch all the nooks and crannies. I want to fully understand the human beings behind that brand. And, because of that, sometimes the process takes a little bit longer. People get emotional. It literally is therapy. I joke all the time because originally I was going to school to be a psychologist, and I still feel like that is my job every day. I just don't technically have the title, but I have enough hours. So that is definitely my day-to-day. But we have really fine-tuned this flow and how we like working with our people, whether we touch all of the phases or not. I think the most incredible and intentional way to get a brand out into the world, and I really need to trademark this, so I'm giving away all of the secret sauce, but it's these core phases. And the first one is messaging. I think so often people are jumping 5 steps ahead and they're like, okay, I need social media, but then they're lost, they don't know what to put. I'm like, it's because you don't know your story. What do you want to talk about? How are you talking to your people? What is the emotion? Do you get the goosies? Is it cheeky? Is it funny? It's like really leaning into your voice, your narrative, because once you own that, everything else just comes so much easier. So it's the messaging, of course it's the visuals, it's the branding, and then it's website design. We've really leveled up how it is we do website development and design at ENC over the past year. It's been expansive and incredible, and like all the code and like
Okay, your
ladies.
Website too, by the way. I was like clicking around on it the other day. I'm like, this is insane. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before.
That's good.
It's cool.
This is the first year we were like, okay, we're going to give ourselves a little ENC treatment.
Yeah.
We fully rebuilt the site, brought it to a new platform. It's been, some of the websites that are coming to life by the end of this year from ENC are just absolutely insane. So very grateful for that. Of course, campaigns, photo and video, which this is your world. And, it's so, campaigns have always been something to me that are probably the most personal, actually, of all the phases, because everyone has insecurities about showing up on photo and video, and being able to be the person that you are so well to make someone feel comfortable in themselves when a camera is stuck in their face is just such a gift. And only then, at that point, do we say digital. And that's social and email.
Yes.
And because of this process and how we've been able to kind of flow through the phases, the clients that really are able to touch every single piece with us and exist out into the world, the brand is so strong and it lasts, and it's people feel something. It's not piecemealed and AI generated and living only on Canva. It's like it's theirs, it's their own.
Totally. Okay, so maybe talk us through some food and beverage clients and give us some case study inside behind the scenes scoop that we may not see on the Instagram grid.
Food and beverage people, they are a funny crew. Love them. Thank you for trusting us. But I think it was 2 years ago, I was manifesting the shit out of some food and beverage. I love food. I love beverage. I just love the experience of really bridging the gap between something that looks beautiful on a screen, but then experiencing it with your hands, with a menu, with a wine bottle.
All your senses.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was just we are going to get there. It's going to be our year of food and beverage. And this year alone, we have been deep in the weeds of all things food and beverage. By the end of the year, we've got a handful of really incredible places that are opening for us to all go sit and dine and sip, and it's going to be fantastic. And I think one in particular that's just been so special is Sophia's, which is on Thomas Road. And it's right next to the Beetle building. And we were connected with this group. They are incredible real estate developers and own really a large parcel of the entire block, but really wanted to create this different brunch experience that wasn't, all day mimosas and, you leave feeling like, you need to take a digestive enzyme. It feels nourishing and fueling and incredible, but with really high-end design. And that project, we have literally been able to touch every single nook and cranny of that space, and driving past and seeing our logo that was every single, letter form has been manipulated by hand, is on, this large scale building, is so fascinating. And, I think food and beverage is so different than other industries because it's forever changing right before the open date, and then even more and more and more. So it's tested us to be very nimble, but also, they came into this process with us with so much trust. And, we crafted some of, I think, my favorite storytelling to date. And, seeing that show up on menus and postcards and retail, and it's one that feels like, okay, we've made it.
So cool.
I can't wait. We can have a brunch date.
I cannot wait to experience it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I would love to kind of navigate and steer the ship of this conversation into talking a little bit about motherhood and how because I feel like you've always had so much growth within the agency, but I felt, at least from an outside perspective, there was a lot of growth within the agency, and then you welcomed your baby boy. And I would love for you to share some insight on, maybe some hard times, some good times, how you survived it, what you did, because I know there's a lot, and I can only speak for myself, but those that are in this creative industry that are so passionate about our work, but also really value building a family and making time for that. Yeah. Walk us through that experience of bringing your baby boy into the world and how you've navigated it all.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. Theo just turned 14 months. So the last 14 months, I think, have been the most abundant, incredible, expansive, and the hardest of my entire life. And I always joke, Theo has always been the easiest part like wholeheartedly. I was very fortunate when, we did get pregnant and he entered our world. I had a really lovely pregnancy. I mean, I was ginormous at birth, a big old baby. But, and it was lovely. I mean, he's just an incredible little human being. I think, right when he was born I was kind of in this, again, season of what do I need to let go of in order to make space to actually like do what I need to do to be a mom and do that job incredibly well and also still run this ship of ENC. And that was really, really hard for me. I had a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of question marks of like, do I want to do this? Like, why am I doing this? Like, I feel like a psychopath. Like, and I think any woman, that has the opportunity to become a mom when you're already a mom of a business, it creates this new shift inside of, I can't do everything every day, but kind of trying to get very, very real with myself in knowing that when I'm in this mode, I'm going to try and be super, super present and I'm going to do the things. And then also I'm going to cap it. Yeah. And then I'm going to shift and I'm going to do this. Because what I found myself doing is like, not half-assing, but almost like yo-yoing between both too often. And it just left me feeling like I wasn't showing up for both of my babies, and both of them are important. But, my kid, I mean, I've got a human being that I want to see me one day and think that I'm, a badass, but also who like loves abundantly. And I think I really had to let go of a lot of shoulds, a lot of like worries that like maybe some people wouldn't like me anymore, or I was gonna, I don't know. I had to let go. I had to empty this heavy backpack that I'd been carrying around for a long time. And it's still a process because I do wholeheartedly forever just want everyone to like me in some capacity. But I think becoming a mom, you just have a different sense of self too, and what's required of a business, and then what's required to have capacity still to like be a mom and, run around and change the poopy diapers and answer the call, all the things.
Yeah. Certainly helps you kind of put perspective on time too, and time management.
What is time?
Honestly though.
What is time? I don't know, but
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really good perspective. I'm actually curious too, like how a big conversation that we've been having within our team at our agency is like measuring and tracking and like trying to visualize and really understand how our company is growing and like setting those clear goals and expectations. So I'm curious, within your company, how do you track or visualize those metrics and things within your team, but also for you as a leader? Like, how do you navigate that and keep track of all those metrics?
Yeah. One of my team members a couple weeks ago on our one-to-one asked me, she was like, so should I have goals for next year? And I think it's such a loaded question, because I think in life we measure success based on, hitting the next mark in our work and, getting more money and more clients and the bigger things and all of that. And while I think I'm a big believer in like, yes, like want more, want to expand, but I've found myself becoming a little more like this to goals for some reason, and maybe it's just the word itself. But to me, similar to, I like to think about it in like, as a woman, I feel like, especially postpartum, we're forever like, I want to get back to my pre-pregnancy. I don't own a scale, and I think of scales as goals versus just like feeling more expansive in myself, in my clothes,
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't really need a number to tell me if I feel good.
Yeah.
And that's whether it's a scale or whether it's, hitting some certain dollar amount. I am going to feel good when I know the right people are in the right room and there's synergy and people feel nourished and supported and also challenged and leveled up and called up and not called out, but like, Yeah, I think I was so focused for a very long time on like dollar amount. And it's still, I mean, I run a business at the end of the day. Like I have to do that. And I think this year in particular has been so different because of just the climate of every single industry and how every person I know, every business owner has experienced 2025 just in business and finances and whatnot. But to me, I don't know. I'd like to like reframe what it is to have goals.
Oh, I love that. You mentioned doing one-on-ones with your team. Is there any other, like, how else do you pick up on that? If you're not tracking, so to say, like numbers and those hard, like black and white visuals, what are some other key indicators of like how you're just picking up and, storing that in the bank?
Well, I'm a very absorbing, aware person. And good, bad, or ugly, I know the second someone walks in the office if something's going on. In the past, whether it was a client or internally, I would take all of that on and it would like fully fill my gallon to the point I would be like overloaded and just like pouring over constantly. And I still always want to be that person that is, I know all the nooks and crannies for the most part that I need to know about the team. But also getting to a point where we have, different levels or members on the team where there's different checkpoints. So that way I can still exist as this like human connection for each team member. Whereas, I have an incredible team member who does weekly one-to-ones with everyone. And we're, moving the needle and where are things falling behind versus where are things feeling really great. And then she and I connect. So I think what's been really special is finding this kind of cool new space where, yes, I'm in the weeds of all the projects, but I still want to remain like the mom for everyone, because it's something that I think you don't experience in most business environments. You do that very, very well. Yeah. You do. I mean, the best way to describe it, and it always like comes out of my mouth when I'm talking about you, is like your mother hen. You're just this beautiful mother hen for your team, and you feel it so deeply. There's a graphic, or someone did it. I don't know if it's for your birthday, a birthday card. Yeah. It was the most beautiful image. And I was like, this is a perfect description of what Ellyse is to her team. And it makes me want to cry because I'm like, you truly provide such an amazing environment for so many women and creatives in this industry. That's really, really cool to witness from an outside perspective. So I appreciate that. I think I've had a lot of people over the years, even my husband included, that there's been seasons where he's like, or people or, mentors or whatever, it's like, you give too much. It's too much. But it's who I am. And I think if I was trying to fit into this different mold of being a boss or a leader, I wouldn't have the company culture I do.
Yeah, totally.
So I think it works really well for us and for me. And I think, this team that I have feels so incredibly nourished, even when we're in crunchy times.
Yeah.
And that's a gift. And I'm grateful to be able to provide that.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk to me a little bit about the dynamic of your team, like the roles? Who is employees? Do you have contractors? Like, what are those levels and those tiers that you were talking about before in your team and those roles and responsibilities?
Yeah, they're all employees. They're all on payroll, health insurance, all the things.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
It's so expensive.
All my babies, they're so expensive. No. One of the big things I really wanted to ensure was when I brought on employees, I was able to offer health insurance, because for many years I just worked for myself and it was so expensive, so being able to just have those special things that are part of just being an adult and having health insurance and whatnot. But we're a team of 6 currently. There may be some tentative expansion next year, but we'll see what happens there. We've got a design team of 3. They are all just absolutely incredible, and each of them really have a beautiful lens in which they create from, but they've also really become the sweetest little design family, which is just so special. I've got Jess, who's been with me for 2 years, and she has really become my right-hand gal on all things brand strategy, high level. She and I both really, really bond over the fact that words matter. So she and I work very deeply on all things messaging, experience. And then, of course, we've got all things production. And Marley, she's been with me for 3.5 years and kind of spearheads all things production, and also has worn every single hat and wears every single hat and does all the things. So it's wild to think the amount of things that are produced by such a small 6-person crew. And every time I share that, people are like, what?
Yeah.
But yeah, we've really been able to fine tune our flow, what internal communication looks like, and what's expected for like clients to feel like they know what's going on. Because hot tip, when a client knows what's happening, they're going to give you a little more space to like actually do your thing. But when you're, sitting there in the dark, it's like, hello, what's happening? So
Totally.
my philosophy is the more you share, the less they care.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to steal that one.
Take it. Yeah.
So like, do you ever have seasons of like busy season, or do you have to turn away work sometimes because you're like, holy shit, my team is at capacity. Like we can't, so how do you navigate that?
I mean, every year is different. I will say this is the first year in being in existence of 7 years that has been just weird. It's been a weird year. We've had some of the coolest, largest projects, and then it's also been our year of, our founder year of supporting all of our founders that have $0, which, is incredible because that was me. That is me still. So, but we're kind of heading into a 2026 with some really, really large scale clients entering our ecosystem, and we're going to be turning some things away, which is a beautiful thing and something I have such a hard time with, because I just want to I want everyone to experience the caliber of creative magic that I think should just be the standard. But yeah, I also we have to sleep and we have to eat and not be at the office. So yeah, I think we will be heading into a season next year of, unfortunately, being a little more selective in each quarter of who we can bring on.
Yeah.
So better get in soon.
Yeah. Get in while you can. You heard it here. Okay. I thought of this question, and I'm so curious what your answer is. It's, what is the invisible value your company runs on that outsiders may never see, but your insiders, they feel it every day? What's that invisible value that your company runs on?
I mean, the word that comes to mind, care and intention. And to me, they feel like the same thing. But I think anyone that really has experienced ENC to the caliber that I hope they could experience, where there is trust involved, we haven't become mouse movers. We've truly, partnered with individuals that have given us the ability to wave our freak flags. At the end of it, it's emotional. They feel this just abundance of intention and this just shock that they didn't think what was living in their brains or their hearts could literally be extracted by perfect strangers. Yeah. And I think that's just that's honestly one of the core values of just who ENC is in general. We really care a whole hell of a lot, so much. And I think that really is what makes us so different and so unique.
Yeah. If you could shine some spotlights on some of the players in your team of maybe a recent project that you've worked on for a client, or maybe it's one that, was a couple years past. Can you share a story about how that core value has really, you saw it shine in your team in a way that was I'm so proud. Yeah. This is it. This is the good stuff right here.
Honestly, it happened many times this year, which has been incredible. And I think it's a testament to having just this incredible team right now and forever.
Yes.
Don't leave.
Yeah.
But one client in particular, she worked with us through our UBB, which is our ultimate brand bundle. It's, those phases that I described, but really in an intention packed 4-month sprint to get a brand that wanted to be on social media yesterday launched, but intentionally.
Yeah.
And every single team member touched it in some capacity. And through each phase, what was just so freaking cool was the messages that I would get directly from her. She gave like nicknames to everyone on the team. She cried, we laughed. It was one of those that at the very end, she was like, but I don't want to go. And, we always try to do a case study when we wrap every project. And this was one that just felt so emotional because we were able, she's a creative, she's out in LA, and, sometimes working with creatives can be like, how much room are you going to give us? And she just she trusted the process even when it was uncomfortable. And because of that, she has the most incredible brand that feels like her, that she knows how to speak to, like she has all the confidence. And really every single person on the team made that possible. And it was just, we've had a few of those this year, and it's just been, I feel like I'm able to step back and be like, damn, okay, so what I started is actually being carried on by these incredible badass women that are just like, they want to work with me, for me, like that's freaking cool.
So cool. Yeah. When you're developing these case studies at the end of, working with your clients, what are some of the things that you think about that you put in the picture of this case study?
So definitely, of course, everything we've touched, the kind of big aha moment, or like where we were really able to take them from, okay, you thought you wanted this, but actually, here's this. So that moment. Also, let's see, what else? I mean, I think the messaging piece to me is always something that I try to weave into anything that we share, because it's easy to be like, okay, for this project, we did messaging and branding and a website. Here she is. Yeah. But really diving into what their tone was, what their essence was, and kind of weaving that into the whole final picture, if you will. So.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got one final question, and then we'll finish up this conversation talking about where everyone can find you and maybe what they can look forward to and seeing with ENC. But this is really my favorite. It's our letter to our future makers. So if a young creative or an entrepreneur found this podcast 10 years from now, what is one piece of advice that you would want them to take from you?
Okay, you asked me the question about my dream person to work with. I would say if there's someone that you really want to work for, find the 10% thing that they hate doing and figure out how to do it for them. And in my early years, when I was just whether it was getting coffee or shining shoes or whatever it was, I sought out those individuals that were doing very, very cool stuff and figured out what it was they hated doing and did that for them. And it creates this sense of just, again, self-awareness, eagerness, willingness. And I think it just it humbles you to know that right off the bat, when you're entering the world of creativity, you're not going to land, maybe you will, likely not going to land your end-all be-all dream job. But being in the right rooms with people that are doing very cool stuff, learning, observing, and having a first-hand front row seat next to that person, it's pretty incredible. So maybe slightly unconventional suggestion, but that is what I would say.
So valuable. I'm so glad you shared that. Okay. What can we expect to see in the near future with ENC? Is there anything else? I know you shared a lot already, but is there anything else that is brewing up that you want to share with us and our audience?
Well, I have a lot to say. Again, Sam's getting a lot of shout outs, but he's actually been on me for years about a podcast. And Nikki's smiling. I don't have any concrete things, but I just want next year 2 things. One, more peace. Yeah. Just that sense of and I just want to want to share more things. I feel like by all means, I do not have all the answers. I will never pretend to, but I certainly just feel like I have a lot I want to share. And I hope to just have different avenues to do so. And so I appreciate you letting me blab for however long it's been.
Oh my gosh, no, thank you for being so generous with your time and your wisdom and experience and all of that. I think you share in such a beautiful way. So I'm excited that you're going to lean into that a little bit more.
We'll see. Maybe I'll be back on the mic.
On the mic soon. Nikki's like, yeah, that's right. Okay, where can everyone find you? How can they keep in touch?
Yeah, so ENC Agency on all the platforms, on the webs, on the grams. Come hang out with us. We've got a very cool blog that we call the Insider, and drops a lot of cool knowledge, things that are going on in the creative world, our take on AI. It's a great place if you need a little extra resource. So.
Oh gosh, that's another topic of conversation that we might have to touch on in another day. We could probably do a whole episode on AI and creative industry.
Got thoughts.
Yeah, she got that. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your
time.
You.
And congrats on this new endeavor. I can't wait to listen to all the amazing people spreading their good brain juice.
Thank you. Well, thanks for being the first batch. Yay. I mean, this truly is such an awesome honor and conversation, and we're just so grateful for you and all the work that you've done for us.
For you. This is what the youngins do, I think.
Yes. No.
Except I think I'm doing it wrong. You're supposed to do it with like a different finger, but
it's like
something weird. I'm not.
Oh wait, how did you do that? Oh, it's the middle finger.
I don't have it.
And
we'll do.
Wait, what is this? It's like a heart with a horn. Okay, I give up.
Yeah.
That's a cut. And we wrap.
Yeehaw!